my experience with Us, the movie, there was a power outage right after, let's just say, a reveal of a car on fire. Let's say that's the moment where the power went out in the movie theater, and the power came back on just afterwards, but the movie was still playing, but there was no visuals. And so one of the workers for the theater had to come in and be like, okay, we're going to pause the movie, rewind it, and then play it once we get the visuals back up and running. Kind of got us out of the experience for watching Us, but at the same time, it also brought us in a bit, and I'll probably talk about more of that in my spoiler review. Like I was saying in my non-spoiler review, which you can check out, and the power went out during the scene, right when they turned the corner at the beach area, and there's a car on fire, and it's like that's when the power went out, and so I was a bit freaked out in the theater because I'm not gonna lie, because it's like I just prior to that moment when the power went out, a couple people came in from, I think, both sides almost at the same time for returning to the seat from bathroom breaks or something, and I thought it was unusual, but then the power went out, and I'm like, oh great, I'm about to get stabbed with scissors, aren't I? That was literally my first thought when the power went out, because just like in the movie, the power went out at their house, and then that's when they strike, you know. Jordan Peele made another standout, original, great horror film. Us is absolutely amazing. I'm still trying to figure out if it takes place somewhere in the Get Out universe. Probably not, but it would be cool if it, was connected. I loved a lot of the little techniques in this film. Just little things like for example, the mirror scene early on. Like, I have seen, I can't remember specifically what, but I'm sure I recognize, I've seen in another film somewhere where it's like there's a mirror, but the mirror doesn't, it looks like it's a reflection, but then it revealed to not be in a reflection. Several movies have done that technique before, and so I kind of figured they were going to do it in this movie. Even though I didn't see any trailers of anything, I've seen a couple images, but never, I didn't see any trailers for this film. Us, when the kid was traveling, going through it, sees the power goes out, and then that's when the exit sign is shown, and I kind of knew she was going to run into a mirror. Like, it's kind of things like, for me, I pick up on very easy just before it happens, and I thought it was done well enough. Like, if I wasn't a movie fanatic person, I would have probably not have clued into some of these little techniques and all that. Jumping ahead to the later part of the film, the main almost villain type monologue, but it's not stereotypical villain type thing, especially after you've seen the film. I don't really, antagonist, is it still technically an antagonist? I don't know. Like, I guess so, but like when she sort of explains a bit more, and I actually, how did you say her name? Because she's been in a movie I've seen before. I'm pretty sure. I'm 100% sure. I recognize her from something. Right. Black Panther. She was in The Force Awakens. Yes. Moss? Was that the orange alien? Oh. I did not recognize her. Like, it totally different roles from Black Panther to this movie, which actually makes Black Panther more interesting now, because there was Get Out, the guy that was in Get Out, he was in Black Panther, and so now you got an actress that was in Black Panther in Jordan Peele's movie, And so that's kind of interesting trivia. But what else do I recognize her from? Non-stop. She was one of the stewardess. Right. Well, anyways, tremendous job. But I was gonna say when she. Oh yeah, I was looking up her name because I want to try to pronounce people's names correctly. Lip, Lipita Nyong'o. Nyong'o. Really sorry if I butchered your name or anyone's name for that matter, but I tried. I tried. Actually, I just realized because I was texting my friend who I saw the movie with. He dropped me back off. I just realized thinking about the film. This kind of review thing is all over the place, but like the glove, the one glove and the red jumpsuit. That's almost Michael Jackson, like Thriller. Like it was on the T-shirt at the beginning, and being young, she would probably be familiar with Michael Jackson at that point, in the sense of his music, and that music video is pretty famous. I don't know, back then I guess it wasn't really for kids, but like I'm sure she probably knew of it. That's why everyone had the one glove, and yeah. Anyways, that's a lot of things to talk about in this film. It's the kind of film you need to rewatch several times. Excited to hear his response to that. But anyways, Lupita Nyong'o, but the scene where she's sort of talking to the doppelganger, it literally goes full Brian De Palma film with his signature. I mean, he's not the only director who done it, but he's known for doing that in his films where the face is closed up and things on the back are both in focus at the same time. The only way you do that with the camera is a special technique where it's a very older technique, so it was actually, I was really surprised that he used it in a modern day film. Makes me have hope yet that modern day films can replicate some of the older techniques, and that definitely helped made that scene so much more better. Just that idea of using that old technique for camera. A lot of great camera tricks as well, and moments with actors and all that. Like for example, upstairs, I forget who it was who was going down the hallway, or no, I think she went to close the window upstairs or something like that, and you saw someone climbing upside, and you just saw like the bottom half as they go up the tree, and like little things like that. It's just so well done. Spoiler review. This is definitely a very rewatchable film. There's a lot of things, like on a first time viewing, you are going to be a little bit over censored, but like I can already just imagine the amount of little details and little things that they put in this film. Like just the actors alone. Like there's a lot of things like I'm gonna call it the neighbor's house. It's not really directly neighbors, but the friend's family. In this, from the main family, when they got attacked and all that, and one of them took over the husband. The husband had little mannerisms and stuff like. There was, I think, 2 scenes basically in total where you saw them before they got taken over. It's basically that you see them acting little mannerisms of stuff. Like for example, just before they got attacked, the husband was really reluctant of moving from his seat to go check on things, and when he got to check up, he did things half-assed sort of type thing. So when he gets taken over, and then the family comes back from being attacked, or they went to find them to figure out what because after an attack like that, you want to try and find people or whatever, since the police aren't arriving and all hell's breaking loose. Like you see him on the boat, and he's like searching for him, and it's like you could tell he's doing sort of that half-ass thing that like he was doing prior, and it's like because the connection between the doppelgangers and them. I'm gonna say doppelgangers. They're actually probably during the major sort of villain type speech. Not really a villain. If you've seen the movie, like, oh, it makes me think. It's like the protagonist was the antagonist all along, and the antagonist is the protagonist. Like, what is with that? I totally forgot that Elizabeth Moss is in this. She was in Mad Men. I remember when Jordan Peele was casting for Us, his new movie, and I remember that announcement. I kind of wish there was more to this film as well. Like, I kind of didn't really get it. Like, you're watching a good movie when your complaint is, I wanted more of it. So, congratulations. Well done. Definitely like the final battle scene. Like, because she sort of did the monologue about explaining a couple things, giving a little more hints and details about the world, but at the same time, it was showing flashbacks to certain things, like the dance scene or whatever, and then it's like throughout the battle of them fighting, it cut back and forth between the ballet performance and that, and it's just, I'm like, editing. Like, it was so well done, and oh man, it was beautiful. Kind of like the idea of the thing, of the tunnels and that. Like, how do you do sort of a almost great? How do you make something crazy horror film wise seem like it could be real? Is you take something that is real and just add that myth to it, that legend to it. And the opening title is a title card where it's like, in the United States, I mean, granted, I'm not in the United States, but I can see where they're coming from. There's several tunnels, areas underground that's either, out of service or not being used, or people are not sure what they were used for and stuff like that. Like, it just, you've seen probably people who on the internet who go to trespass in certain areas, discover hidden locations, areas where they shouldn't be, and stuff like that. Urban explorers, that's what they are. Where in cities and stuff, they go in areas that, you're not legally technically supposed to be there, but, they sort of, pass it off and all that, film it and, show the world sort of thing. They get in places on that. And there's so many tunnels, sewers and stuff, and like, opening up with that title card, it just add that sort of little more realism, because it's like, how many times have you been somewhere and it's like you see a maintenance thing that goes down, or a basement, or something that leads to the tunnelway or something like that. Like, it's all around us. Like, it may not be everywhere, but like there's a majority of places that people have never been. Like, for example, I'm just thinking off the top of my head, there's subway stations in New York that are closed off and are sealed up, and you can really only access from the track and stuff like that. And like, there's places like that out there. So starting off the movie like that, Us, it was like, it took something that is real, and sort of just opened your mind to it. And it's like, what happens if there's something out there that's related to us? And what's happening to us is, I think she mentioned it, I kind of picked up, is the kind of backstory, like the two heavy dialogue sections with the doppelganger, or supposed doppelganger, the clone, are this both sort of hints at what happened previous, and where are they from and all that, and kind of tells it in the last act. But like, I picked up in the last act sort of thing where it's like a clone facility. It's like a area that they were trying to clone people and try to control the people above using the clones because they found there's a link between them, and because they're imitating what they up there is doing. So it's kind of like a whole underground society of people just copying what they're doing up there to the best of their abilities. They're not really as mindful, but they have an idea of stuff and all that. And definitely a very cool idea, backstory wise, for this film. And I just thought, I'm under the impression that's what it was. It was like I don't know if it was a government facility, but it was some sort of facility where like a lot of people were, putting money into trying to research, or maybe it was a private organization. Because I don't want to say it was the government, because I can't remember if they, like, I have to go back and rewatch this movie with subtitles just to pick up, because Lupita did an extremely good job with that voice that I actually felt. I've heard that sort of type of voice before, and and it kind of reminded me of like an older person, or someone who's on their like sort of last sort of breath sort of thing, like sort of almost dying type voice. Like it's very hoarse and it's very I think very briefly I saw on the internet. I didn't want to look it up because at work there's a news thing, MSN News, and I think one of the headline things was she said in an interview or something that she based it off of some sort of disability or something like that, and then she apologized for using that as the source for her creepy, scary voice, as they call it. Like I saw that sort of headline wise. I didn't want to click on it because I haven't seen the movie. Now that I've seen the movie, I kind of want to research that line, but I didn't see the correlation between, like, that voice sounded like it was just an older, gravelly sort of almost smoker type voice, but like she might have used that as an influence, but I don't really see a problem with her voice, so I don't know why people are making a big deal about it. But anyways, I thought it was a tremendously good choice of voice for her, because I mean we are talking about an 8-year-old, or like somewhere around that age, I don't know, getting, after being raised to that point, being locked away in a place where people don't really talk, they just make noises and are sort of miming real things in the real world, and a lot of them look like other people sort of type thing, like people that they know, like there's people down there that look like her father or her mother and all that. It's just, wow, Us is pretty amazing of a film. It is kind of a film where the more you think into it, the more you try to flesh out the world, the more your like problems it sort of brings. So try not to think too much into the movie, but think enough to really get into it. Like, for example, having them be in the underneath ground, doing everything above, sort of going through the motions of it. And since they're tethered, connected, I guess spiritually or something, if somebody above passes on, do they pass on downstairs? If somebody goes to the washroom upstairs, do they go down there? Like, the whole basement was very interesting to look at, set wise and set design and all that. Really liked to look at it. Definitely felt sort of like its own thing. But like, where do they go to the walls? Like, I kind of don't want to know. At the same time, it's one of those type of questions. I guess the clones also mate and all that. I mean, how else do they get pregnant and then make more of them? So it's like, and also what happened to the government thing that was funding that thing? Like, did they just abandon it? Like, you think they would try and destroy the evidence of something that weird and out there and stuff like that? Like, there's a lot of little things where it's like, I definitely want to rewatch this movie, but at the same time, I'm like, you could pick apart this movie easily not easily. You can pick apart this movie if you try, and it's the kind of movie where you don't really want to try it because I had such an enjoyment of watching this film that I don't want to pick it apart. I kind of, the more I think about it, unfortunately, the more I pick it apart. A lot of little details I'm sure I missed, and I definitely really want to see it again. Definitely, absolutely buying this movie as soon as it comes out. Can't wait to watch more of Jordan Peele's next movies, whatever he decides to do. Definitely want to also take a look at Easter eggs and all that. This is another movie. Miss Marvel had the Right Stuff VHS. This movie had the Right Stuff VHS tape in it, and it's like coincidence. There's a whole part of the movie about related to coincidences, so it's like, my God, both Get Out and Us are both movies that I can definitely see Shout Factory or Scream Factory doing a release of, Criterion Collection do a release of. Like that's how good those movies are. I think these are movies that we're definitely going to be looking back on and being like, that was actually really good, really clever and all that. Comedic moments and all that, like in Get Out, worked really well. The comedic moments in this movie worked, but wasn't like ha ha out loud funny. It was more like, that's kind of funny, but at the same time, the movie is pretty terrifying as well in terms of what's happening. So it's some of it you can laugh at, but at other times you're like, I don't know what's going to happen. I have a hard time laughing when I'm also scared for these characters and feel for these characters as well. Surprising twist at the end where it's like, it turns out the mirror scene, they actually switched. So when she lost her speech, it was actually one of the people from down there, and they switched, and so it's like she grew up, they taught her how to speak and all that. So it's like, oh my gosh, it just asks so many political sort of, like, not political, but like meaning thing to it, where it's like they are us from clones, and so they are us, but it would have been very easy to discover them and like train them to be people, like actually learn in the same way a child, like when a child is younger, if you taught them stuff, they can learn to become an adult and all that. So it's like the same thing. These clones, they found right away that they didn't have the mind sort of aspects of it, or heart or emotion sort of thing to it, but they could have very easily have taught them. I mean, it would have taken a lot of time and effort, but like there's a whole meaning, whole level to this movie. Thinking about it now, where it's like they could have taught, if they were able to teach one over time to speak and to learn to be human. It's like if they decided to work together and not. I mean, did she really even know what she was doing when she decided to switch them? It's like, it's one of those things where it's like, don't. Oh, brain. Oh, like, oh. Some of the best movies are movies that make you think, and this movie is no exception. Definitely would recommend seeing Us. I don't know what else to say. The Beach Boys scene with the Alexa, this universe, I think, what was it, Olympia? Something like that. I don't know if that's an actual off-brand or whatever, or was something made up for the film. The Beach Boys God Only Knows plays, and then it's like, that's when all of a sudden they all get decimated by the doppelgangers, the neighbors, the friends. My only complaint with that scene is I wish the camera stayed inside and sort of almost did a one take type thing with the music playing, because I felt like I really disliked that camera going far away and you just slightly hear the music. Like, because I already knew, you can already tell from the movie with the music playing that nobody outside would have heard them. They're in a really rich mansion, really expensive, out in the country. There's the closest neighbor is probably, several 100 feet away or so, or I don't know measurements. Like it's you have to almost drive to get to the next neighbor's house, sort of type thing. So I felt they didn't need that wide shot where the music is still playing and them are getting killed sort of off screen, but not really. Like you can kind of see what's happening. I felt like the camera should have stayed in there during that whole slightly chaotic scene where they all get killed. That was really my only complaint with that scene. Other than that, it was pretty damn good. Kind of felt like it could have almost been like a really great sort of musical, not musical per se, but there's scenes in movies where they're cut the music that I really like, that stand out and all that. You can look at almost any Quentin Tarantino type film and all that, where a song is playing and it's like stuff is happening on screen, almost related to the music, but kind of not at the same time. It's like sort of that thing, and I felt like that one shot far away with you hear the muffled music, that sort of took me out of the moment, unfortunately. But that's a minor complaint. That's like a for me complaint, but like for other people who aren't focused on filmmaking would definitely have probably thought this was absolutely if you don't like horror films and you go to see Us, I think you're gonna have a bad time. But yeah, really enjoyed Us. It's definitely a movie I'm gonna be thinking out for a while. So anyways, that I guess ends my spoiler review. I talked about, I think, all the things I wanted to talk about. I definitely had a bit of a The Strangers, I think, a vibe to the movie. But it's it's definitely not just one type of movie. It's damn. You know what this movie is? This movie is like kind of like Cloverfield 10 or 10 Cloverfield Lane, in terms of it's like wasn't really expecting this movie, and then it's like it comes out of nowhere, and it's more than what you think it's gonna be and all that jazz, and it really delivers overall, and that's what it is. I mean, they're two totally different films, Us and 10 Cloverfield Lane, but like it kind of reminded me that vibe of. But then again, I saw the trailer for 10 Cloverfield Lane when I went to go see 10 Cloverfield Lane, where Us, I didn't see any trailer or anything, just a couple still images, and then it's like I saw the movie, and it's like, thank you very much for watching. I want you to have a nice day or night or whatever time you watch this. Have a nice whatever.